Hi, this is Rob Polinick of C3 Method. I just finished up a push workout, so I want to share what I did. I started the workout with cable crossovers, which is my normal standard for a push day. On a push workout, what you're really looking to do is target your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps. Out of those three areas, my chest is the lagging body part, so that's the one I focus on first. And in order to bring up my chest, I use the pre-exhaust method. The idea of the pre-exhaust method is that you perform an isolation exercise before a compound exercise to ensure the compound exercise targets the muscle you actually want. An example of this would be dumbbell chest presses. That's my main chest movement that I have here at the home gym. And for dumbbell chest presses, commonly what can be a limitation for people is either the stabilization of the heavy dumbbells or their triceps actually fatigue. Either one of those elements might fatigue before the chest actually does. So therefore, the exercise isn't maximizing the chest, it's maximizing whichever element fatigues first. So if stabilization fatigues first, then it's a stabilization exercise. If your triceps fatigue first, it's a tricep exercise. I want to make sure my chest fatigues first, so I do an isolation exercise for my chest before my chest presses. For me, I prefer to do cable crossovers. I really like the mind-muscle connection that I have with them. I'll do them standing from a bunch of different angles. I'll also do them seated sometimes. I like to switch it up just to get a newness of the stimulus so I don't get bored, and so that way I can target different areas of the muscle fibers to get a more complete and full development of my chest. I'm going through the working sets for the cable crossovers, and I thought I'd share a tip. So what I like to do with the handle is when I'm doing the cable crossovers, rather than keeping my hand neutral, I actually think of putting my thumb a little bit away from me when I'm doing this. What I find is that it helps me reduce the front of my shoulder being involved in the crossovers. So when I'm bringing my hand and I'm sweeping it in towards the midline of my body, again, I'm thinking of actually pushing my thumbs away as I'm squeezing in, and I find that gets a much better chest squeeze than if I were to keep my elbows bent and even like curl my wrists in. That tends to incorporate more of the front of the shoulder. So to better isolate the chest, actually tilt your thumbs further away from you whenever you're doing cable crossovers. And next I'll do my final working set. Now the cable crossovers, they're meant to be a pre-exhaust before I get into my major compound movement for the chest. So I want to get my chest fatigued, but I want to stay on the safer side in this movement. What you'll see in this final working set is that I'm going to go until my technique starts to break down, but I wouldn't push further into that. I don't want to start to include other muscles that aren't the target, and therefore it's not really continuing the chest stress, I'm just bringing in other muscles. And I don't want to strain my chest and miss out on the benefit of the major compound movement. So the isolation that we do before the compound, it is important to do it to maximize the muscle's capacities and what it can do safely. But that's the key, is make sure you do it safely so that way you can still do a really good effort on that major compound movement. Okay, I'll get into my last working set. Whew, okay, so that worked out well. A couple pointers, you can see I'm not trying to bounce out of that full stretch. I'm coming back, pausing, and then thinking of actually flexing my chest to bring my hands closer together. So the goal of that movement isn't I just want my hands close. It's that I'm thinking of squeezing my chest and my hands just happen to be coming closer together. That is a good way to think of a cable crossover or any type of fly. to make sure that you're maximizing your chest and not just pushing weight around. So I do high reps into low reps most commonly for the cable crossovers, make sure my chest really feels fatigued, and then I'll move into the compound press. For my compound press today, I did do dumbbells. Sometimes I'll switch it up with a barbell, but for me, I prefer dumbbells because I can do a converging pathway, meaning I can start wide, press up, and actually come in a little bit, and that gets a better contraction of my chest. Especially since I have short upper arm bones, my triceps tend to take over on my chest presses if I have a non-converging chest press, which would be a barbell or a Smith machine where your hands stay the same width the entire time. For me, I better feel my chest, and I definitely get more fatigue and recruitment in my chest if I can start wide and come inward a little bit. So when I go to a commercial gym, I always look for a converging chest press, something that offers that wide to inside, like that out to in kind of pathway. I'll get a much better chest development out of machines like that. So here at home, I do that with dumbbells. I'm about to do my last set of dumbbell presses. I've been asked before how to get heavy dumbbells into position when pressing. So I figured I would just show the process that I use to get that in place. So you'll see here in a second, basically I pick up the dumbbells and I rest them on the lower half of my thighs. So between the midpoint and my knee is where I aim to rest. I'll then sit up tall, take a big breath, and I usually pick up my right side. Like I'm left-handed, so I get my weaker side first. So I pick it up and get my elbow underneath the handle, and then as that weight is coming back, I'll kick my other side up, and then I let the weight of the dumbbells kind of push me back. I then push through my feet to get pressed into my upper back, and then I'll start the press. So bottom half of the thigh, weak side first, and then push through your feet to get a good pressure into your upper back, and that can help you get that first rep started. So I'll go ahead and show the process here in my last set. Whew. Okay, so I got 9. I got a little squirrely, I think, on that number 6. My right side got a little outside of where I wanted to be. But that is what it looks like for me, a challenging set. Usually, if I can't get the dumbbells into place, I probably don't need to be using that heavy of dumbbell. So these are the heaviest dumbbells I have. And you can see with the pre-exhaust, that's plenty heavy enough. You know, instead of 9, I think I got, I don't know, I think I got 10, 10, 9, 9 out of my 4 sets. So that's plenty heavy enough to get growth. A good rep range to where, you know, say on number 6, I felt it was a little questionable. I could just end the set there and not get injured. Where if I was going super heavy, really low reps, if I get slightly out of position, it can be a bigger injury faster. So I actually prefer the reps being a little bit higher, more in that 8 to 12 range for my heavy work, whenever the heavy work is an unstabilized exercise, meaning it's not a machine. I have to stabilize it myself. I like having a little bit of rep room, so that way I can call the set early if I need to, if it feels unsafe. So that's an example of how to get heavy dumbbells into place and a little navigation through a challenging set that I would feel was taken to good form failure. After presses, I'm moving on to doing some tricep dips here on the Mutant Metal Ultimate Dip Attachment. I really like this one. It has various holes so you can change the width, and it's incredibly sturdy. So I really like it because I can do my body weight, and then if I wanted to do weighted dips, this thing does not bend, does not move. So I really like this. Plus it stores away in a really nice small profile. So I'm doing this, I'm doing it today just for body weight for reps. Since I've done the heavy presses, that's going to be my heavy tricep work. So now I'm just going to do some high rep work and focus on a good stretch at the bottom for the outer pecs, but then flexing my tricep. So I really think of flexing the tricep to come to the top. You'll notice I don't lock out my arms because I don't want to release the tension on the triceps. I want to maintain at the top that there's a flex and that my elbow joint is near extension, but I don't want to lock out and have the weight go through my joints. I want to keep it on the muscles. So that's what I'm doing for dips. And then I'm pairing that with a cable lateral raise for high reps to warm up the shoulders. And then my plan is to finish with some dumbbell lateral raises, maybe some kind of fun, weird technique. And then that'll finish off the workout for me. I did the cable lateral raises, and you'll notice the angle of the cable is near the bottom, but the way in which it's set up, the more challenging part of the range of motion is actually in the initial portion, like the bottom half. And that's a really good complement to dumbbells, which is the top half of dumbbell raises is really when it's the most difficult. So I like to do a combination of both a cable raise and a dumbbell raise in my shoulder work. So today I did the cables for higher reps, and then I did run the rack for the dumbbells. For the run the rack technique, I did a set of 20, then a set of 10, then a set of 5, then back to the same weight for 10 using rest pause, then back to the same weight for 20, again using rest pause. So really it was like 20, 10, 5, and then 10, but it was like 5, then 2, then 3, and then 20 out of the last weight, but that was like 5, 5, 5. It was broken up into small sections. That's a really good high intensity way to get a lot of work in. I did a 3-minute rest between the 2 sets for the run the rack, and my shoulders are fried. So it was a really good workout. So the order today went chest, triceps, and shoulders. I would always recommend somebody starts the multi-muscle workout, whatever that structure is, whether it's push, pull, or any other structure you want to create. I would target the muscle that you feel is the lagging body part first, get the most energy, the most excitement into that body part, and then as you fatigue, you can finish off the other body parts. But that's my structure for today. If you give the workout a try, I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below, and thank you for watching.